My brothers and sisters, what is going on? This is still Sermon in the House, Saturday night with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. The link is posted in the description box down below. I actually recorded this video about a week ago or so, and I was going to be talking about Ron Hextall in this video and why I am 100% on board with the Pens needing to fire this guy. Now, I understand we just lost tonight to Florida 4-1 after we had just won 4 straight games. We swept the season series against the Tampa Bay Lightning of all teams, which is pretty impressive. And then we had a win in St. Louis and then a nice win down against the Predators in Nashville. But that don't change my mind about Ron Hextall. When the fans at PPG Paints Arena a couple weeks ago were chanting "Fire Hextall" as the Pens got their doors blown off by the Edmonton Oilers, guess what? Ron Hextall deserved every single one of them chants. This guy has overstayed his welcome in Pittsburgh, and he needs to be fired. Now, let's just go over some of the things that Ron Hextall has done ever since he became our GM in early 2021. Let's just go over some of this, okay? So I understand that he had some tough decisions to make when he could only protect about 6 or 7 forwards that we had and a couple of defensemen and a goalie that we had. I understand that. And the Seattle Kraken with the expansion draft, they took Brandon Tanev. But that Jared McCann trade was a terrible sign from the get-go. We shipped him off to Toronto for a 7th round pick and for Philip Handler, who has done practically nothing for us. And that 7th round pick, God only knows, what that's going to do for us in the long run. So that was a bad sign from the get-go. Now I see why Flyers fans hated this guy too. I mean, I can't stand the Flyers, but you know what? If Pens and Flyers fans can agree on one thing, it's that we can't stand Ron Hextall. I mean, after all, this guy played against Mario Lemieux in the 90s all them times, in the playoffs even too. So it makes sense that he tried to ruin the Pens' reputation as well. Not a true Pittsburgh Penguin. But the one that absolutely just rubs us all the wrong way, and I think you know where I'm going with this, Kasperi Kapanen and Jeff Carter. First of all, those 2 signings made absolutely no sense at all. And I still don't understand it to this day. Jeff Carter, when we got him, was 37 years old. So what sense does it make to sign a guy at that age who's past his prime, going on the oldest team in the league, to a 2-year, $6.25 million contract, and the fact that he's on a huge decline and has been ever since he came here pretty much, and now that he's 38 years old, he still has another year on the contract to go. What warranted that at all? What goes through his head and makes him think, whoa, the Pens haven't won a playoff series in 5 years. Well, it was 3 years at the time. The Pens haven't won a playoff series in 3 years. We got one of the oldest teams in the league. And we have a farm that we need to call up as well. And we need to get younger because, after all, teams are starting to skate circles around us low-key. So let's bring in a 37-year-old to fill in the gap. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He's been so bad that he's been moved from playing center. And now he's playing wing, which gives him even less of a responsibility and even less relevance in this entire lineup. And that money could so have easily been used to find another third-line center that still has legs, can still be a great shooter, can still be an aggressive puck handler, and can still be a great defenseman as well. Basically, you wasted money on an old man when you could have signed a halfway decent 2-way player when the Pens are lacking on the 3rd and 4th line. And the 2-year contract, I don't think it needs to be said. It's become an absolute albatross with the signing bonus for his second year. So that wasn't good at all. So let's talk about Kasperi Kapanen now. 2 years, $6.4 million. Pretty much the exact same in terms of the dollar amount that had just expired. So to put it lightly, and to put it in I don't like to say this term, but to put it in dummy terms, Hextall gave Kasperi Kapanen pretty much the same contract as Jeff Carter. And he's been performing a lot worse. That 2021 season that Kapanen had, absolute fluke. Because what has Kapanen done since then? Once again, healthy scratch this season. He only had 6 goals halfway through the season. And these are two players that take up over $6 million that could be used to be getting much better players, and now the Pens are stuck with both of them for an additional year. What sense does that make? Oh, it's okay though. We're just gonna get rid of our best power play kill guy. And we're going to get rid of Zach Aston Reese as well, which takes away speed out of our breakaway defense. And we're going to bring in now Nick Bonino just because of nostalgia back in 2017. You see, about 4 or 5 years ago, I would have loved if Nick Bonino was still on this team. Would have loved it. That's another old guy that you're bringing back on this team, Ron. He's 34 years old. Like what goes on through this guy's head? For real. Are the Pens so stuck in 2016 and 17 that they literally want to bring back every single contributing guy that contributed to those back-to-back Stanley Cups? Because if you are, you're not the Pittsburgh Penguins. You are the Detroit Red Wings of the early 2010s. They did the exact same thing. And this is exactly what I was afraid that the Pens were going to do. Okay? That Washington series in 2018, okay, you can't win every playoff series. I can accept it. 2019 against the Islanders, that was really bad, but at least the Islanders were just the better team. 2020 was when I stopped making excuses for the Pens. This team has been underperforming. They have been lackluster. They have been choking, and they have not stepped up to the reins when it matters most, and they need to make changes. And guess what? It starts with Ron Hextall. I thought Jim Rutherford was bad. But you know what? At least Jim Rutherford brought us 2 Stanley Cups. The only mistake that Jim Rutherford really made is that he stayed too long. Okay? Like, if he retired after the 2017 Cup, he would he would leave Pittsburgh a legend. He really would have. Ron Hextall, this guy's done nothing for us. This guy has set us back. And he continues to set us back when teams are getting better. A 4-game winning streak, that ain't going to patch things up. Because this team, this 4-game winning streak coupled with a 4-1 loss to the Panthers right now, this is our season in a nutshell. This is exactly what our season has been this year. We're hot and we're cold, with no in between. Starts with the front office, and it starts with Ron Hextall. Mario Lemieux, please do us Pens fans a favor. Get rid of this guy. I was skeptical with when we brought Ron Hextall in 2021. I was skeptical of it, but I thought, you know what? Let's just see what he does. Let's give him a chance. Kasperi Kapanen's a good candidate to be a core contributor on the team. Let's see what he's got. Man, oh man, was I wrong. And I think I speak for the majority of Pens fans when I say this guy needs to be fired. He does. That 7-2 loss to Edmonton the other week, it just shows what this team really is. We're not good enough. We're not good enough to compete with the top dogs in the NHL. And if we do go up against a youthful team, and we do go up against a team that has players that are in their prime, like Edmonton, like New Jersey, like Boston, Carolina, it's going to be an ugly game. We swept the season series against Tampa Bay, sure. But you know what? I would not feel confident going up against the Lightning in the playoffs. I really would not. Regular season NHL and playoff NHL are two completely different animals, guys. This guy needs to be fired. You can't tell me with a straight face that this Pens team belongs in the playoffs. I don't care if we're the second wild card currently. Because like I've said in past videos repeatedly already, guess who we have to play now if we make the playoffs? We got to play Boston. Do you realize the Bruins are 49-8-5 on the season? They've only lost 13 games this entire season. Do you think we stand any chance against the Bruins in round one? No, we don't. And that's why Hextall needs to go. I 100% support those Pens fans, and I applaud them too. Way to go, guys. I applaud them for chanting "Fire Hextall" when we were down 6-1 to Edmonton. That was absolutely embarrassing what I saw the other week against Edmonton. And tonight was pretty embarrassing too. Please, Mario, fire this guy. Do what needs to be done to make this team a serious contender again. And get rid of this guy who has ruined both Pennsylvania teams. And that's all I got to say. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is Steel Sermon, checking on out for the night. May God be with you all.